Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Jeannette, also known as Ms.FitVegan, and I'm very honored today to have Dr. Melanie Stevenson with us. Hi, Melanie, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's a big honor, very, very big honor. And I want to say thank you to Sherry who set this up for me. So I want you to please introduce yourself to my audience who might not know who you are.
My name is Dr. Melanie Stevenson. I am the wife of the late Dr. LLAILA Afrika, who was a huge holistic health individual who promoted healthy eating. He wrote many books. He was a scientist. So I taught with him and we traveled all over the world. We taught holistic health nutrition. I still do it to promote his legacy. And I promote just healthy well-being and a healthy state of mind and peace, because this world is treacherous. So we have to do as much as we can to try to stay as healthy in our body and our minds and in our spirits.
Thank you so much. So it's a big honor for me to meet you because, well, Dr. Afrika's books were very instrumental in the beginning of my journey. I have a lot of them. One of them is African Holistic Health. And I'm telling you, this book changed my life. So everyone, I'm going to leave the link below to get this book and also to check out the
This
website.
is his new book. He has a
Oh,
new book.
it's a newer
Yes,
copy.
he revised that book. There's 900 more pages in this book. Just want to let you
No.
know.
Not possible because, guys, just so you know, this is like almost 600 pages.
Right. So he
Whoa.
revised the book. So that's a good book, but this is his revised version, which you can get on our website.
I'm late. I'm late. So
Okay.
LLAILAAFRIKA.com, right? And I'll leave the
Yes.
link below. And he
Thank
has
you.
a lot of books, and I have a lot more in storage back in New York. Back in 2011, I read these books and I just, whoa, it's a lot of secret hidden information that is not out there. So my first question to you is, what are some of the secrets about health and nutrition that you have learned along your journey, along the way? What are some things that most people don't know that are kind of hidden truths in society about health and nutrition?
Well, to your answer, and that's a good question. I don't know if I would say it was hidden. I'll say it's overlooked. I'll say it's not emphasized. We tend to eat just to feel good, or we'll eat because of a fad, but we truly need to eat for the nutrition of our bodies. And so, what I have learned that has worked for me and many other people, you have to understand that the body follows rules. And once you follow these rules, the body can do what it needs to do. And so I'll give you a sneak peek at these rules. So you have to have 15% plant-based protein inside of your body. And amino acids build protein. So it's the building block to all your cells. Most people think because of traditional ways of how we look at food, they think that we get our protein from meat when that's a misnomer, which I know you're misfit healthy vegan, so you're already there. But just for those who don't know, and you have to have 70% green leafy carbohydrates. So what that means is you can have cabbage, callaloo, you can have all these different green leafy vegetables inside of your diet. It really does help to make you a healthy person. As well, you need to have raw fat. I never really heard of anybody talking about raw fat. Raw fat helps to stabilize energy. You need 15% of that in your diet. And they say, well, where do you get that from? You get it from raw nuts and seeds and avocados. And so to me, that is like the basis of health. And if you can start there, then you can kind of take off from there.
Sorry, I was on mute.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that is true. A lot of people do not talk about that and the importance of the fat, green leafy vegetables, and things like that. Of course, you know, people are very confused when it comes to protein. So thank you for saying that. It's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. How do you recommend people decipher or start to know like what is truth and what is not truth? Because there's so much misinformation out there. How do you personally determine what is true and what is not true?
It has come through many years of research. Unfortunately, you go through a lot before you start finding out something is not correct. From my standpoint, I have learned a lot in science, okay? But I've done a lot of self research as well. And so, because I'm a practitioner, I have learned how things work inside the body and what results you get from it. So, it's best to try to stick close to someone who's actually in practice of what they're talking about versus someone just trying to sell a product, because health is really not for sale. It's for you to educate yourself to know what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, and how to navigate all the information out there, the misnomers. So we're supposed to learn this as children, and unfortunately a lot of us miss that. I was one of them that missed it. I didn't have it when I was young. So as you start to become deficient and you start to get sick, that's usually when people try to learn why they got sick. So we don't want you to get sick. That's not our goal. We want you to do preventative health. So just getting good information out there from, like, Dr. Afrika is my source. Okay. He was a scientist. He lived what he talked about. So that's the best I can offer for that.
Yeah, I think he was one of the most important teachers and leaders of our time. And yes, so I was inspired by him to throw out my microwave in 2010, I think, 2009. Can you please share with us, because people don't know, can you please share with us the dangers of eating microwave food and using a microwave? Like, even for vegan food, even for, healthy food, baking a potato in the microwave. Can you please share some of the dangers of this?
Okay, so let's talk about the microwave. You spend all this money on healthy foods, and then you put it in this radiation. You radiate your healthy food to warm it up or to cook it, to eat it. So you have just defeated the purpose of buying the healthy food that you just purchased. Once you get radiated food inside of your body, it's a toxin. It's toxic. So you meant to eat the healthy food. You went and bought it, but the process of cooking and warming it up, you just took all those great benefits away.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that everyone's doing it. So, it feels like if everyone's doing it, it can't be that bad, right?
Well, I tend to like to go the road less traveled. So if I see a lot of people doing something, I want to research it before I decide to do it for myself. There are a lot of health fads out there that are very dangerous that people don't know any better. The average person just wants to be healthy and they want to do it the quick way, but there's no fast track to healthiness. It's something that you have to work on every single day.
Absolutely. Yes. And yeah, I agree. I mean, like, it feels like it can't be that bad, eating these M&Ms or drinking this soda or using a microwave. Everyone's doing it, but it is really bad. Can you please tell me some of the health transformations you've seen over the years, as far as, people coming, like, reversing their health from very serious conditions? Like, what are some of the cases and clients that stand out to you of people that have reversed their serious illnesses?
I have a lot of
I'm
examples, so
sure.
let me pick out the ones
I'm
that
sure.
was the most memorable. We had someone who was in complete kidney failure and they were on dialysis, and dialysis wasn't working anymore, but they hadn't changed their diet. So of course we got them to eradicate eating the greasy foods, the white refined sugars, and they start doing this, the basis, the protein, the green leafy carbohydrates, the raw fats, but we put them on supplementation to actually build the kidneys, and their kidneys actually started functioning. And you may not have a perfect functioning kidney again once you're in complete kidney failure, but if your kidneys start to function to where you don't need dialysis, that is a huge result. That's a huge difference. So you think this person had an outlook of this is the end for me. And from making these changes, and it's aggressive changes that you have to make. It's easy for someone to tell you how and what you should do, but the bearing of you actually doing it on a daily basis, that is the hard part. So I've seen people come back from kidney failure. I see people come back from diabetes every day because that is definitely from your choices. And it's an emotional thing. Are your emotions going to supersede how you want your body to feel? Because people eat for their emotions. So I've seen them change their diet. I've seen people who've been completely bald grow hair. I thought that was pretty cool.
What? What did you do for them? Like, anything special?
Well, what you have to do for each individual is different. Okay. And so it's circumstantial. So you have, say, individual A, we won't name him, but it was a guy, and he ate white rice every single day. He was full of carbs. Everything was carb. He drank lots of alcohol. Okay, so he had a lot of bad habits. What he ended up doing was he stopped doing it all, every single bit of it. Not only was he able to grow his hair back, but his blood pressure lowered. He was no longer a diabetic, but these were because he eliminated the bad things that he was doing, and he was able to actually take a lot of supplementation as well. Because plants, herbs, they work, but they're only to help us. They're not to do the whole load. Some people think they can do bad things and then take this herb and everything's okay. That's really not how nature works. If you do something you have no business doing, your punishment comes immediately. So I've seen quite a bit.
Yes, I am sure. I'm very sure. Now, what kind of lifestyle do you recommend to people to be healthy? Of course, I promote a raw vegan lifestyle, but what percentage raw, because not everybody wants to be 100% raw. What do you think the percentage of raw fruit and vegetables needs to be in people's diets?
I don't know if I would quite do a percentage.
Okay.
Because I have seen so many different walks of life. If you have the posture to be able to do a raw diet correctly, then I promote it. A lot of people don't have the fortitude just to eat raw completely. So kudos to you, by the way, because that takes a lot of chutzpah to be able to do such a thing, and you look great. So what I would say, I do at least 60% raw in my diet every day, if it's not 100. Okay. There are times when I do steam or blanch my foods. Okay. Depending on your digestive system, every body is different. So depending on their disposition will determine what type of a diet is best for them.
Yes, absolutely. And now let's talk about this, because steaming and blanching your foods, many people don't realize that there are different ways to cook your food, and some ways are way healthier. You're using wet heat, and you're using water and steaming and keeping the water into the food. Can you please talk about the benefits of doing that as opposed to grilling or frying or even maybe baking? What are some of the benefits to using wet heat to cook your food?
When you are using wet heat, as you would put it, I like that. You are actually breaking down the molecular structure lightly. You're just opening up the bonds, still not really tearing the molecular structure of the food that you're eating. You're not destroying it. So when it's time to eat it, there's still some nutrition there when you're in the digestive process. When you are cooking your foods, most of us kill our foods when we are cooking and when we are frying. Not only do you kill it because of the heat, you take the nutrients out of it. You are saturating it with oil and smoke. Your body was not made to ingest this type of nutrition. And so we have to think like little scientists, and that our bodies are like, we're like computers, and the computer will operate really well if you give it what it needs. But when you don't give it what it needs, it starts to break down. We have to learn how to break the code of nutrition. And so we have to talk about emotions in food, because we don't need to eat because of how we feel. We need to eat because of what is going to make us feel better. What nutritional things do we need to be healthy people?
Yes, I want to dive into this because, well, it's the second time you brought it up, emotions and food, overeating, food addiction. This is such a big part of our culture and our, world, where most people want to be healthy, but they are eating, out of stress or fear or loneliness or boredom. And you said it earlier so well. You said, don't let your emotions kind of destroy your health, and make you choose what to do, how to eat. So can you please share with us, what is some advice you would give to somebody who is struggling right now with a food addiction? They're watching us, so they're clearly interested in health. They might know what to do, but they're really struggling with how to do it, how to break free from the fried foods and the soda and the candy bars and the fast food. What is some advice you give to clients?
First, we need to identify with why we're actually doing what we're doing. Sometimes it's subconscious and you don't even know that you're doing it. You're just acting out your feeling. So let's talk about sugar. Sugar, when you crave it, it can come in the way of bread. It can come in the way of chocolate. It can come in the way of cakes or sodas. It's the inability to receive love or to give it. And so when you are craving these type of things, you have to think, how are you feeling emotionally? Are you feeling cared for? Are you feeling heard? Are you caring for someone that has this type of addiction? Do they need nurturing? So we have to be more conscious of how we're feeling emotionally and deal with that instead of trying to medicate ourselves with the actual foods that we're eating. You also have saltiness. A lot of people like to eat salt. They put salt on their food. They eat salty fries. They eat salty potato chips. This is anger, the inability to be able to express anger in a healthy way. There's nothing wrong with anger. Some people don't even know that they have a lot of built up anger inside of them. They're just eating these foods and they just have to have them on a daily basis, when there's an underlying issue that they need to actually be paying closer attention to. It might be in their relationship. It might be in their job. It might, be a family situation. It might be their finances. So we teach this in our holistic nutritional counselor course, to be able to identify why people are eating what they're eating. There's a social, emotional component. There's a mental component to it. You have to be able to really look at the whole entire person. So when I see somebody with the food addiction, or if I see somebody that's overweight, I don't see an overweight person. I see someone who just needs a little bit of TLC. And you sit down and say, okay, let's start off with, how are you feeling? And you have to go through exactly what's going on in that person, because it just might be something very simple that might stop them from eating the sweets if they just deal with the emotional component that they're not paying attention to.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's so many more.
That's really good. Wow. I was taking notes because, sweets, the inability to receive and give love, salty cravings at the core is the, anger, not expressing anger. That's a really good point, because as kids, we're not allowed to express our anger a lot of times. And so we learn to, shove it down, and food is like the most socially acceptable addiction. So a lot of people use that. I certainly used that. What is, what is a recommended way that you recommend people to deal with their anger? What are some healthy ways that people can do that, can express their anger?
We have to identify with first what we're angry about.
Okay.
And then we have to also look at what we're angry about and say, is there anything we can do to change it? Because there's certain things that say if you're at work and you have a boss or you have a coworker who infuriates you. They do annoying things. They say annoying things. They're overbearing, but you have to work there, right? You have to pay your bills. There is a way for you to actually remove that person from your emotional self. To actually feel anger, you've let someone in. You've allowed that emotion to actually touch your core. It should be a very sacred place for someone to be able to touch your heart. No one should be able to send the emotion of anger to you and you just open up and say, come on in. When someone is displaying anger, you have to look at it just like it's a movie and say, oh, I hope you feel better. And you tell yourself, this is not my emotion that I'm feeling. This is their emotion. And you try to send them good energy. If the anger is originating from yourself, you must meditate and tell yourself, we have to let this go, give it up, like get rid of it out of your system because it's self-destructive. So you're going to take a deep breath in and then you're going to relax it out. And when you're doing that exhalation, you're actually getting rid of, in your mind, I'm getting rid of the frustration that I'm actually feeling. So it's an active participant and actually ridding yourself of it. And then replacing that anger with another emotion and say, I've gotten rid of, and I have allowed myself to time out, so to speak, being angry about this. I'm going to give myself nurturing and love, and I'm going to relax because that took a lot of space inside of my spirit. So you just have to nurture yourself in these
Yes.
situations.
Yes, thank you for that. So helpful. I know, and last question on this topic, it's a really good topic. Some people, they're not tapped into their emotions. Like they don't even know that they're angry. Like you said, people are not aware. So I know that whoever's watching this right now, you're watching this for a reason, and maybe you want to just tap into your emotions and maybe what do you recommend, meditation or journaling? What is a good way for people to feel what they're feeling? Because some of us don't even know what we're feeling. We're just going through life on survival mode.
Well, I promote feeling, allowing yourself to feel it, not trying to suppress it. Because when you suppress it, it just builds up. And the
Yes.
smallest thing, you become a volcano. So once you have acknowledged it and you feel it, you allow anger to pass through you. There's no emotion that's supposed to take hold of your spirit and your body. All emotions are just supposed to pass through, just like the weather. We are supposed to be like nature. It does not rain every single day. There's a break. The sun comes through the clouds. If we model ourselves after nature and we model our emotions after nature, we know it is against nature to hold on to any emotion too long. It even hurts to be happy, overly happy too long. Sometimes you need to be solemn. Sometimes you need to be calm. So anger is not a bad thing if it's in the correct space. When you hear about people who have been mistreated, that brings about anger. That's a righteous anger, but you're not supposed to stay in any emotion too long. So allow it just to pass through you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I wanted to now ask you about something a little controversial. So
Yes.
your late husband, he had quite a controversial view on many things, including so menstruation. Okay. And I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been like over 10 years, but I remember reading his views on the origin of women and their periods. And I'm curious, what are your views on how this came about? Women menstruating every month. What are your views on this? Is it natural for women to menstruate?
I think being a woman,
Yes.
the process of menstruation, I see it differently than the average woman does in a holistic sense. In my view, and I've witnessed it for myself, to have a child, you understand, there is going to be some shedding of the wall, your uterine wall. However, to have hemorrhaging is what we should not be doing. When you're having a cycle and it's healthy and you're eating natural, healthy fruits and vegetables and you're in good, clean air and there's no stress and you're in this utopic world, when you're in that time of your cycle, when you use the restroom and you urinate, and that's when it comes out. And then when you're done, you don't have anything left. So there's no need for tampons. There's no need for pads. But because of our environment, we struggle with not hemorrhaging. So instead of us calling a menstrual cycle, I say we're hemorrhaging. Okay. And it's to what degree do we hemorrhage?
I say this too, and people think I'm crazy. I say we're internally bleeding, like it's not normal, but continue. Sorry. I just got excited because this is very rare. This is very rare information.
Yes. So that's how I've been able to even see in my own life, going from eating sugar and fast food. If it was something bad, I've eaten it. Okay. And then getting the knowledge of what you should not be doing and making that transition and seeing how the body's so forgiving and seeing the periods become lighter and seeing how the blood becomes brighter and less. And then to the point where you don't even have the hemorrhaging, you're just using the restroom. It comes out a little bit after you're done. That's it. I'm sorry to be so gross or dramatic, but this is a conversation I feel is appropriate. So that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like wearing 2 and 3 pads or hemorrhaging for 4 or 5 days where you have low iron. I've been in all those places. So there is a difference from your healthy habits, your emotional habits, your spiritual habits, holistically, how the body gets rid of waste. So it's, for me, hemorrhaging versus having a cycle.
Yeah. And so if you don't mind, I would like to explore this a little bit more. It's a topic I'm very interested in, like, is it normal for us to be bleeding every month? Can you explain Dr. Afrika's views on how women started bleeding once a month, every month for for most of their life?
Well, you know what? You're going to have to help me with this. Okay. Because we talked about a lot of different things and he has a lot of good information. But if my memory is correct, it was because you go ahead. What were you
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. It was because of our environment, and it was because of our unhealthy habits that allowed us to start menstruating the way that we are, eating animals, and the animal has hormones, and we ingesting these hormones inside of our body, altering our own hormonal balance, and then becoming over toxic from all the different carbohydrates, just what we've been talking about. When you do not eat nutritious food, which I want to do a segue into what we're saying, either you're eating food or you're eating junk. Okay. And a lot of us, our diet is junk. It's not nutritious. And so when you're in that type of environment and you're under a high stress environment, you're going to be you're going to have more of an issue with having a period than someone who's in a more peaceful, harmonious, and healthy diet and a more spiritual place. That's where I get that. That's my take on him. But I'm not Dr. Afrika. You have to get the book.
Yes. In his books, yes, of course, I agree with that. And I'm very sure that that's why we are internally bleeding once a month so much. People have such heavy periods. This is not normal. And then he was saying that, like out of centuries ago, a long, long time ago, women were raped. And like, this is the start of us hemorrhaging, once a month. And I thought it was very interesting. I know that there's so much hidden information, and that is not mainstream, that is not popularized. And that's why I love his information. He wasn't afraid to think outside the box and be open to being wrong, be open to learning something new. And which is how, we're sitting here now speaking about this, because we were both open to new information that is not, that was not taught in school and is not mainstream. And so I do highly recommend everybody checks out all the information. I'll leave the link below on YouTube and Facebook. And I highly recommend you check out his books and all the resources available because this is some of the most important information you'll ever read, and it will change your life. My other question to you is, I'm curious, how do people deal with feeling alone on their journey? Oftentimes people that start to get healthy and want to eat healthy, want to eat a healthy diet, they don't have anyone to do it with them. And it feels kind of lonely, and their spouse might not want to do it. Their kids might not want to do it. What is some advice you give to people out there who are doing this alone on their journey?
When you become one with yourself, you're never alone. You have to be comfortable with the beat of that drum on the inside of your spirit that draws you to be healthy. That's where peace is. That's where serenity is. That's where good health is. When we tend to look for other people for our validations, this is where we're getting all these different issues that we deal with. So loneliness actually comes from when you're looking on the outside, trying to get someone to give you comfort, when the comfort, you walk with it on a daily basis. And so when it comes to making the choices of eating correctly, my whole family is full of it. When I say full of it, please forgive me. They're probably watching. When I say full of it, I mean you have meat eaters, you have people who drink, you have people who smoke, and then you have myself who don't do those things. And sometimes they make fun of you, or you understand. It's okay to be different because I am there to support them when they're sick. So then they start to look and say, maybe I will start to not drink so much. Maybe I won't smoke because it is giving me COPD. Maybe I won't eat the meat. You understand? Maybe I won't eat a lot of the carb. Maybe I might be a little bit more conscious. You are making a decision to be an example. And so I'm okay with being an example of what trying to strive for healthiness really looks like. It's very difficult to be healthy in this environment. Even when you are a vegan, you don't know where these foods are grown. You don't know the soil that has been raped. You don't know the nutrients that are not there that were there before. So we just are all trying to do the best that we can. So I just tell anyone that is on this journey, continue, learn more about yourself. You came here by yourself. If you're not a twin, you'll leave by yourself. So the quicker you get comfortable with it, the better for all of us and the better for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I want to ask you, you guys are big into herbs, correct? Like recommending
Yes.
herbs for different things. I'm curious, what are, in your opinion, are some of the most powerful herbs, and what are their purposes? Like what are they for which illnesses? What are some of the most powerful herbs you've seen work for your clients?
Okay, so being a practitioner, we don't speak in that language. We don't say that all herbs are powerful, especially when you
Okay.
need them. So you might need echinacea golden seal for, like, say you have colds and flu, but somebody else might need it to build their joints. They say, wait a minute, echinacea and golden seal helps joints. There are supplements, and our herbs, they do so many things. They can adapt to so many different issues inside the body. So I try to keep my view very wide when I'm dealing with plants. I look at the way the person's body is presenting illness. And depending on how they're presenting the illness is how I would determine which plants and which herbs we put together. Now, Dr. Afrika took time to actually put combinations of herbs because herbs work in families. He put them together because if you just get one herb, sometimes it takes three or four other herbs to make that herb do what it needs to do inside the body. So it's a science. It's a science. And to put one herb or plant above another is just against nature for me. But I can do what people love to hear. They talk about bilberry and bitter melon is good for diabetes. Yes, all echinacea and golden seal yes, all these things, Ella campaign for the lungs. There's so many things that it's almost as if you have a novice who looks at plants and how it works inside the body, but then you have a healer scientist way of looking at it. You have to be spiritually connected. You can take any plant and pray on it and ask it to help you and put it inside the body. And believe it or not, it will have healing qualities. But that's taking healing to the next level. And I would like to raise people's awareness to where they'll allow these plants to do so much more, because they're all of them are powerful.
Yes, yes. That's why prayer before you eat, such a good idea. Even if whoever you believe in, whatever you believe, just taking a moment to bless that food and thanking it for doing its job. Absolutely. So we have a question from Awa. She would like to know, can you share benefits of gold? So do you ever recommend people supplement with gold? I know that that's in some supplements and some people are taking gold internally.
Okay, well, that's coinage. And if you look at the wheel of mental and relativity wheel, it's in Dr. Afrika's Health Dictionary's book. That is used very, very little inside the body. Okay, so why people would ingest it, I haven't the slightest idea, because it has to have other minerals for it to actually work. So to use it as an isolate, that doesn't resonate with me. I will say this about gold though: if you wear it, it has a positive charge to it, so it can energize you. So there's a lot of ways to get the benefits of gold besides trying to ingest it.
Okay. And we have another question. What kind of water do you think is best? For example, do you recommend distilled water?
I recommend spring water.
Okay.
Okay. If you do distill water, you have to make sure that you take a multivitamin and mineral to remineralize the water. But if you take spring water, the liver will actually alkalinize it. The liver does a job of putting it in its environment so that it can be used inside the body. So you can do distilled water. I will not say no to it, but I'll say add a multivitamin and mineral into your diet if you're doing that. But optimally, spring water is good as well. But make sure you look at the source on the bottle, and it should say it comes from whatever spring it is, and you should be able to look at it on a map, and it should be there.
Okay. Yes. Good advice. Okay. So I want to ask you one last question. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for your time, for everything you do, for your knowledge, your wisdom, experience. And of course, I will leave the link below in the comments section and the description of this video to please connect with Melanie and to get all of the resources available for you. You're watching this video for a reason, so take advantage of that. And my last question is, if you could send a message to everyone in the world, okay, every country, every age, what is a message that you would love to share with everyone that's living right now?
That's a very good question. And I think I would say this: love is powerful. Love is a very powerful emotion. If we look at everything through the lens of love, we can be more forgiving, we can be more tolerant, we can heal. There are going to be things that are going to happen to all of us, each and every one of us. But if our core is good intentions, not only for ourselves, but for our fellow people, we will raise the vibration all around the diaspora, all around the world, so that the plants can give us more energy, so that the air can give us more oxygen, so that the trees, we have to love ourselves so we can love our environment, so our environment can love us back. We have to get back to that one emotion.
Yes, that's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Melanie. I really appreciate you. Thank you for everything you do. And thank you for spending a little time with me and my audience. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for your questions. If you like this kind of interview, this kind of content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this with somebody who might not see it on their own. That would be an amazing thing for you to do. Thank you very much again, and I hope you have a beautiful day.
Take care. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.